Hello and welcome students to the 32nd lecture of this course which is called chemistry, and this particular course is having code CH1014 odd semester and CH2014 even semester, right? So this is Chit Chakravarti, your host from the Department of Chemistry, and let us start this new lecture. Now this new lecture is different from all the other lectures that we people have come across till now. Why I am saying this, I will explain it gradually to you people, but let us recapitulate what we people have already completed. So we have already completed 3 modules in organic, and physical chemistry. We are now in the 4th module, and we are on the verge of completion of this 4th module because this is the last and final lecture of this 4th module, which is called industrial chemistry, right? And in this industrial chemistry, we have studied about water, we have studied about corrosion, we have studied about polymers, and this one is nothing but drugs. So basically, this particular lecture is named Synthesis of a Commonly Used Drug Molecule. Synthesis of the commonly used drug molecules, right? So whatever drugs we people use in our daily life, that we people will discuss, and also how these drugs are prepared and how they're used, that also we people are going to see here in this particular lecture, okay? So gradually we will see this 2 different drugs, aspirin and paracetamol, are in our syllabus. Now, among these 2 drugs, paracetamol, right? This particular drug is very much famous right now. Why it's famous? Because it is used for the treatment of this particular disease which has troubled the whole world, including India. This particular disease is the reason why I am recording this lecture for you people, right? That is COVID-19. So what we are going to do, let us see how COVID-19 occurs, what is the coronavirus, right? How it contaminates in our body, what happens whenever it enters our body, okay? So let us have an informative video. After that, we will go for the drug molecule, because this particular lecture is the best place to discuss about this COVID-19 and the corresponding drugs that acts for its protection, right? For against COVID-19, our protection, right? Okay, so let us see the video which is coming right away.
This is SARS-CoV-2. It belongs to the family of coronaviruses named for the crown-like spikes on their surfaces. SARS-CoV-2 can cause COVID-19, a contagious viral infection that attacks primarily your throat and lungs. What actually happens in your body when you contract the coronavirus? What exactly causes your body to develop pneumonia? And how would a vaccine work? The coronavirus must infect living cells in order to reproduce. Let's have a closer look. Inside the virus, genetic material contains the information to make more copies of itself. A protein shell provides a hard protective enclosure for the genetic material as the virus travels between the people it infects. An outer envelope allows the virus to infect cells by merging with the cell's outer membrane. Projecting from the envelope are spikes of protein molecules. Both a typical influenza virus and the new coronavirus use their spikes like a key to get inside a cell in your body, where it takes over the cell's internal machinery, repurposing it to build the components of new viruses. When an infected person talks, coughs, or sneezes, droplets carrying the virus may land in your mouth or nose and then move into your lungs. Once inside your body, the virus comes in contact with cells in your throat, nose, or lungs. One spike on the virus inserts into a receptor molecule on your healthy cell membrane like a key in a lock. This action allows the virus to get inside your cell. A typical flu virus would travel inside a sac made from your cell membrane to your cell's nucleus that houses all its genetic material. The coronavirus, on the other hand, doesn't need to enter the host cell nucleus. It can directly access parts of the host cell called ribosomes. Ribosomes use genetic information from the virus to make viral proteins, such as the spikes on the virus's surface. A packaging structure in your cell then carries the spikes in vesicles, which merge with your cell's outer layer, the cell membrane. All the parts needed to create a new virus gather just beneath your cell's membrane. Then, a new virus begins to bud off from the cell's membrane. Now, with the virus spreading in your body, how can you develop pneumonia symptoms? For this, we'll have to look into your lungs. Each lung has separate sections called lobes. Normally, as you breathe, air moves freely through your trachea or windpipe, then through large tubes called bronchi, through smaller tubes called bronchioles, and finally into tiny sacs called alveoli. Your airways and alveoli are flexible and springy. When you breathe in, each air sac inflates like a small balloon. And when you exhale, the sacs deflate. Small blood vessels called capillaries surround your alveoli. Oxygen from the air you breathe passes into your capillaries, and then carbon dioxide from your body passes out of your capillaries into your alveoli so that your lungs can get rid of it when you exhale. Your airways catch most germs in the mucus that lines your trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. In a healthy body, hair-like cilia lining the tubes constantly push the mucus and germs out of your airways, where you might expel them by coughing. Normally, cells of your immune system attack viruses and germs that make it past your mucus and cilia and enter your alveoli. However, if your immune system is weakened, like in the case of a coronavirus infection, the virus can overwhelm your immune cells, and your bronchioles and alveoli become inflamed as your immune system attacks the multiplying viruses. The inflammation can cause your alveoli to fill with fluid, making it difficult for your body to get the oxygen it needs. You could develop lobar pneumonia, where one lobe of your lungs is affected, or you could have bronchopneumonia that affects many areas of both lungs. Pneumonia may cause difficulty breathing, chest pain, coughing, fever and chills, confusion, headache, muscle pain, and fatigue. It can also lead to more serious complications. Respiratory failure occurs when your breathing becomes so difficult that you need a machine called a ventilator to help you breathe. These are the machines that save lives and that medical device companies currently ramp up production for. Whether you would develop these symptoms depends on a lot of factors, such as your age and whether you already have an existing condition. While this all sounds scary, the push to develop a coronavirus vaccine is moving at high speed. Studies of other coronaviruses led most researchers to assume that people who have recovered from a SARS-CoV-2 infection could be protected from reinfection for a period of time. But that assumption needs to be backed by empirical evidence, and some studies suggest otherwise. There are several different approaches for a potential vaccine against the coronavirus. The basic idea is that you would get a shot that contains faint versions of the virus. The vaccine would expose your body to a version of the virus that is too weak to cause infection, but just strong enough to stimulate an immune response. Within a few weeks, cells in your immune system would make markers called antibodies, which would be specific for only the coronavirus, or specifically its spike protein. Antibodies then attach to the virus and prevent it from attaching to your cells. Your immune system then responds to signals from the antibodies by consuming and destroying the clumps of viruses. If you then catch the real virus at a later stage, your body would recognize it and destroy it. In other words, your immune system is now primed. Collecting evidence on whether this will be possible, safe, and effective is part of what's taking researchers so long to develop a vaccine. It's a race against time to develop a vaccine amid a pandemic. Each step in vaccine development usually takes months, if not years. An Ebola vaccine broke records by being ready in 5 years. The hope here is to develop one for the new coronavirus in a record-breaking 12 to 18 months. While all of this will take time, stay home if you can, to protect the most vulnerable. And don't forget to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds and as often as possible.
So now you people are having a clear idea how COVID-19 happens and how it actually affects our body. So what we are going to do, we need to be safe from COVID-19, right? So there are some tips and tricks that everybody almost knows it by this time, and you please follow those tips and tricks. And I think you have liked the video because it is very much informative. Thanks to the website that has published the video. And we are moving into the details of our lecture, that is synthesis of commonly used drug molecule, right? So the lecture highlights are right in front of you, where we can see that we will discuss about drugs and their classification, right? First of all, it will be drugs and its definition, followed by drugs and its classification, and we have two different drugs, aspirin and paracetamol. So we will discuss about those two drugs. Again, paracetamol is used to control COVID-19. Now, what basically drugs are? Drugs are chemicals, right? Basically, they are chemicals of low molecular masses. Drugs are chemicals of low molecular masses which interacts with molecular targets and produce a biological response. So basically, just try to remember before we go into the discussion or before we go into the details that has been given in this lecture. Just try to understand. Suppose you are having pain at the end of your toe. You are having pain at the end of your toe. Now what you are doing, you are taking a medicine from your mouth which is going into your belly, your stomach. Just try to imagine how the species that have gone into your stomach even had a trace that the problem is present in your toe. Isn't it very amazing to think about it? That okay, fine, there is a headache I am having, I am eating the medicine, it is going into my stomach downward, but it is finishing the headache that is present upward. How it is happening? So it is a big mystery, and actually drugs operates on target receptor action, right? So we are not discussing about those things in this particular lecture because it is beyond our scope of syllabus, but you have studied this in class 12, I believe. When the biological response is therapeutic and useful, then these chemicals are called medicines and used in diagnosis, prevention and treatment of disease. Now see, you know that whenever people say drugs in front of us, we used to believe or we used to think about cocaine, heroin, right? Why? We are not the culprit. The culprit is Bollywood movies. Always from the beginning, we have found out that drug means cocaine and heroin, and smugglers used to deal with it and this sort of things. These are basically the lectures of Bollywood that we people have seen. Whenever in our childhood we used to move from the front of the medicine shop, it was written chemist and druggist. I used to look at the uncle that this particular person is a druggist, means he sells drugs. Now he is a villain. Now from where I have learned that? Bollywood. That if a person sells drugs, then he is a villain, right? But drugs are not a matter of villains. Drugs are basically of two types: narcotics and non-narcotic drugs. Whenever you are dealing with narcotic drugs, then it is yes, cocaine and heroin and all. But whenever we are dealing with non-narcotic drugs, definitely they are medicines. So basically, all medicines are drugs, right? Whenever drugs are interacting with the biological body, and if that particular interaction is good purpose, then the compound is called medicine and is used for the prevention and treatment of disease. Okay, most of the drugs used as medicines are potential poisons. So this also we people have seen that people are dying due to drug overdose. So drug overdose means medicines are taken to a large extent. If you take that, then definitely it will be drug overdose and will be having problem. Now, if therapy is done using chemicals, it is called chemotherapy, right? This is also a very important point for us. But you know that drug overdose people are just dying for this. This is something we need to be very aware of, because it may happen that you are taking too much medicines for sleeping and finally you slept that much that you never woke up again. So this should not happen. You be very careful in life and take care that your family members are also being safe from this particular thing. So basically, let us see what the classification of drugs are and how many types of drugs are available. So first of all, we need to see that there are basically four types of criteria on the basis of which the drugs are divided. First one is on the basis of pharmacological effect. Second one is on the basis of drug action. Okay, so on the basis of pharmacological effect, how they are basically distinguished. It is useful for doctors because it provides them with a whole range of drugs available for treatment of a particular type of problem. For example, see, different companies produce different medicines, but that too with the same group, right? For example, see, analgesics have pain killing effect, antiseptic killing, and is the growth of microorganisms. So whenever a doctor is treating you, he or she will find out that what particular problem you are having. Accordingly, he or she will give you the medicine, right? So that is on the basis of pharmacological effect. Number two is on the basis of drug action. What is the fact? It is based on the basis of drug action in a particular biomedical process. For example, antihistamines inhibit the action of histamine, which causes inflammation in the body, right? There are various ways in which action of histamine can be blocked, right? So on the basis of action of histamine, they are differentiated, right? So this is one way. The third way of classification is on the basis of chemical structure. So different type of drugs have different chemical structures on the basis of which they can be easily distinguished. Okay, and on the fourth way is molecular target. So basically different drugs have different targets. On that way also they can be distinguished. What is written here? Drugs usually interact with biomolecules such as carbohydrate, protein, lipid, and nucleic acid. They are called target molecules. Drugs possessing some common structural features have the same mechanism of action of targets. Okay, fine. So that's why that's how they are used by the doctors to prescribe. Now next we are having aspirin. And what is aspirin? Aspirin is nothing but acetyl salicylic acid. Okay, synthetic organic compound derived from salicylic acid. Now salicylic acid is natural product. It is obtained from bark of willow tree. Okay, and this was used as jadi buti. This was used as jadi buti by the ancient persons, ancient doctors who are called Veds. Okay, and this was used against fever and irritation of stomach, right? Okay, so basically Native Americans and Greeks used to have the bark of willow tree as a medicine or jadi buti to just cure fever. But there was one problem. The problem is this is very bitter to taste and it irritates stomach. That's why what happened, salicylic acid, which was used previously, was modified as aspirin salicylic acid. Okay, aspirin salicylic acid is acetyl salicylic acid, which actually is not that much bitter and not irritates the stomach, but it intacts to your it intacts in its performance. It is intact towards the reduction of fever. Okay, the German chemist Felix Hoffmann is credited for being the first to synthesize aspirin in 1897. Hoffmann's father had severe arthritis but could not tolerate salicylic acid. Okay, so what basically he was doing, he could not tolerate salicylic acid as he was taking that for pain relief. The name for Hoffmann's new compound that Hoffmann has synthesized, he has given A-salicylic acid. Okay, now this aspirin. Okay, apparently this comes from the acetylation, right? And this is the name for meadow sweet, as you can see, a plant rich in salicylates. Okay, so that's how it is. Let's go to the next slide. Now, this particular person, Friedrich Bayer, the employer of Hoffmann, patented the name and began marketing the product in 1899. It was a huge success. Sales grew rapidly. Bayer's company, set up by himself, is generally the first pharmaceutical company for the production of aspirin, and the modern pharmaceutical industry was founded since then. In the experiment, we will synthesize aspirin, okay, acetyl salicylic acid. By formula it is C9H8O4, and we will see how this particular compound is prepared and how the purity of the compound is assured, right, in the melting point range. Okay, so let us see how this compound is prepared and how it is synthesized. Okay, so reaction is like this. Excess of acetic anhydride is taken and it is added to salicylic acid, then in presence of sulfuric acid. So this is our salicylic acid. Let us use our beautiful screen method. This is our salicylic acid, and this is our aspirin, sorry, acetyl salicylate, right? So acetic anhydride, sorry, again I'm saying this. So first one was salicylic acid, second one was acetic anhydride. These two reacts to form acetyl salicylic acid, which is aspirin, and here what happens, this particular product comes as the side product, which is called acetic acid. Okay, so again let us see the reaction. What is happening here? Salicylic acid reacts with acetic anhydride to form acetyl salicylic acid and acetic acid. Now if you see this reaction carefully, you will see that what happens, this particular group, this color is not good, this particular group is getting attached to this particular position. So here what we are having, with this O we are getting COCH3, see, and this particular hydrogen is added here, so this particular thing becomes CH3COOH, right? As simple as that. So this was aspirin. Let us go for paracetamol, and it's very important for us in this COVID time. So paracetamol, also known as APAP or aminofen, is used to treat pain and fever. It is typically used for pain relief, and basically it can be used by children also. So 4-aminophenol and ethanoic anhydride, when reacted with each other, forms acetic anhydride, which is nothing but paracetamol, right? So what happens, let us see. First of all, we are starting with phenol. We are using nitrating mixture. We are getting orthonitrophenol and paranitrophenol. Okay, now this paranitrophenol is taken, it is reduced using sodium borohydride. This nitro group is reduced to amine. Then we are using this particular thing, which is called acetic anhydride or ethanoic anhydride. So what will happen, this particular one hydrogen will be released, and here this particular group will come up. Let us use this eraser and screen the group. This particular group will be added, COCH3. Okay, this is nothing but COCH3. Okay, this particular group is added here, and this particular compound is none other than what we call aspirin. Which compound? This particular compound is called aspirin. Okay, this compound is known as aspirin. Not aspirin, that I'm saying wrong. This particular compound is called paracetamol. Okay, which compound? Again, let us come again. Which compound? This particular compound. Okay, this compound is called paracetamol, right? This is cetamol. This lower part, it is present in para position, so it is called paracetamol. Okay, right? So this was all about the lecture that we have seen today. Now we have seen in this lecture how aspirin and paracetamol are formed, what are drugs, how are drugs classified, how drugs work, and last but not least, we have seen a very important and very interesting video regarding the action of COVID-19, which is very important for us right at this moment. Okay, so this was all about the 32nd lecture of this course, which is chemistry, and with this the industrial module is finished, industrial chemistry module. In the next lecture we will start a new module, and that is nothing but spectroscopy. Okay, so for that you have to wait and watch those particular lectures that the people are doing, and just let us meet in the next lecture. Okay, so be very careful from COVID-19, protect yourself, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and follow the directions. Okay, right? Thank you so much. Let us meet in the next lecture.